Torture Vault, September 28, 1213. Palace Castle in Hungary awakens to terrifying screams echoing through its cold, stone corridors. In the royal chambers, a scene of unimaginable horror unfolds. Gertrude of Moravia, queen consort of Hungary, lies in a pool of blood. Her body has been brutally dismembered by swords and daggers. Her limbs are severed from her torso. Her head, nearly decapitated, hangs by thin tendons. Just hours earlier, she was one of the most powerful women in Central Europe. Now, she is nothing more than torn flesh and broken bones scattered across the floor. Her assassins have fled, but the message they left behind was crystal clear. Foreign influence in Hungary ends now, and it ends in blood. When King Andrew II returns from his crusade, he won't just find a murdered wife. He'll find a kingdom in rebellion, and a thirst for vengeance that will define Hungarian history. Why was this German noblewoman so hated in Hungary? What led to her gruesome execution, and how did it spiral into one of the most cruel and symbolic revenges of the Middle Ages? At Torture Vault, we uncover the dark truths that history dared to bury. To understand this act of political savagery, we must go back to the beginning. Gertrude was born around 1185 in the Duchy of Moravia. Today, that region lies within Austria and Slovenia. She was the daughter of Duke Berthold IV. Raised in a refined German court, Gertrude was educated in diplomacy, politics, and manipulation. Even as a child, she displayed sharp intelligence and a will to power that rivaled the most seasoned men. Her beauty was legendary. Chroniclers described her golden hair, blue eyes like mountain lakes, and alabaster skin. But beneath that angelic exterior lay a calculating mind. In 1203, at age 18, Gertrude married Andrew II, King of Hungary. The marriage was strategic, not romantic. Andrew needed German military support. Gertrude's family saw Hungary as ripe for influence. When she arrived in Hungary in 1204, the welcome was grand. Her coronation was held in Székesfehérvár, with nobles from across Europe in attendance. But it didn't take long for things to sour. Gertrude began installing her German relatives into high-ranking positions, displacing traditional Hungarian nobles. The local aristocracy viewed it as a quiet invasion. She further enraged the Hungarian elite by controlling Andrew's royal decisions. She sat in on council meetings. She meddled in foreign policy. She even influenced military leadership. But the final straw came in 1212. Gertrude pushed Andrew II to join the Fifth Crusade. While the king left for the Holy Land, she assumed the regency, and ruled without mercy. She taxed the Hungarian nobility heavily. She handed out estates to her German allies. She appointed a German general to command the Hungarian army. The message was clear. Hungary belonged to her now. The Hungarian nobles were seething. Led by Lord Bankbar Kalin, known simply as Bankban, they began plotting. Bankban was 50 years old, a battle-hardened patriot. For him, this was personal. Gertrude had disgraced his family and his country. His mission wasn't political anymore. It was holy vengeance. The conspiracy took months to plan. The assassins knew that mere exile wouldn't do. Gertrude needed to die, and die in a way that would terrorize her supporters. On September 28, 1213, they struck. Some say the queen was ambushed in the mountains during a royal hunt. Others claim it happened inside the castle itself. But what is certain is this: it was brutal. Gertrude barely had time to scream. A sword struck her neck, nearly beheading her. Her body was then ritually dismembered. Her hands, the ones that signed anti-Hungarian decrees, were cut off. Her feet, which had marched across Hungary like a conqueror, were hacked away. And finally, her head was severed completely. It was a message to the world. A warning carved in flesh. When her remains were discovered, even hardened warriors fainted. The chamber was soaked in blood. Her torn body was evidence of a hatred deeper than politics. The news shook all of Europe. In Moravia, her family demanded revenge. In the Holy Roman Empire, Emperor Frederick II considered military retaliation. But it was Andrew II's return that would ignite a true firestorm. In 1214, King Andrew returned to Hungary, and learned of the butchery. His grief turned to wrath. This wasn't just an assassination. This was humiliation. Andrew vowed that those responsible would suffer deaths far worse than Gertrude's. He launched an investigation unlike anything Hungary had seen. Spies, informants, and torture chambers became tools of the crown. Suspects were interrogated night and day. Families were threatened with annihilation if they didn't cooperate. Within weeks, the entire conspiracy unraveled. Bankban attempted to flee to Poland. But Andrew's knights were waiting at the borders. He was captured while crossing the Tisa River. Dragged back to Buda in chains, he was thrown at the king's feet. Andrew didn't want justice. He wanted theater. Bankban's execution was scheduled for May 1, 1215, in Buda's main square. Attendance by all nobles was mandatory. The method chosen: impalement. One of the most horrific punishments ever conceived. A sharpened stake would be driven slowly through Bankban's body, piercing organs, until it emerged from his mouth. The process could take hours, or even days. At noon, the execution began. Bankban, despite weeks of torture, refused to confess. Refused to beg. He was tied to a wooden frame. The stake, soaked in oil, was inserted slowly. His screams echoed for 4 hours. Children cried. Nobles vomited. Andrew watched every moment, his face expressionless. But his fury wasn't yet satisfied. Over the next months, all other conspirators were hunted and killed. Their families were exiled, their names erased, their homes burned. The nobles, once proud, now bowed their heads. Andrew too was no longer just a king. He was a tyrant. Conclusion. Power, blood, and legacy. At Torture Vault, we do not sanitize history. We unveil its darkest corners. Gertrude's murder was supposed to restore Hungarian pride, but it instead birthed a reign of terror. Andrew too, broken by grief and consumed by vengeance, ruled with paranoia until his death in 1235. The kingdom he tried to protect remained unstable. Gertrude's legacy became legend, not for her beauty or diplomacy, but for the price she paid for power. Even after 800 years, the dismemberment of Queen Gertrude remains one of Europe's most chilling political executions. A savage warning about foreign interference. A tragic reminder that in the medieval world, vengeance was never measured, and power was always paid for in blood. Stay with us here at Torture Vault, where the horrors of history are never forgotten. You've just witnessed one of the darkest punishments in history. But many more still lurk in the shadows. So if you dare, subscribe to Torture Vault, where every scream from the past still echoes.